Welcome back to another edition of Everything Football 62. I'm your host, Jonathan Big Tex Johnson. Uh, I'm going to do the night show. Actually, it's so funny because about, I think last week, or right at a week and a half ago, me and my wife, we were talking, and it was on Twitter. And we were sitting up there, and I was discussing one of the things that irritates me a lot is when you have washed up players from any sport and especially from football, that's the main sport that I actually follow. You get to see where sometimes they end up making the news and they haven't been in the league in eons, haven't did anything. And a lot of them sometimes wasn't that great to begin with, and then they get in trouble, be it drug abuse, alcohol abuse, spousal abuse, or whatever the case may be, or some running drugs or whatever the case may be, and they will still uh, report on them. I don't. I still right now I don't get that. If a person doesn't play, there's really no need. What's the point of him even? Why are we even speaking about him? Why are we talking about him? He hasn't played 3, 4, 5 years, 6 years, whatever. He's a has been. That's one thing. That's one thing. He played a couple of years in the league and he was gone or whatever. But they still report on somebody who nobody hardly knows. Well, so I was looking at Twitter and I saw where they were having because I guess Aaron Hernandez they were having this his trial and all that was coming up for last week, and I remember telling my wife, I'm like, why are they still showing the stuff of this guy? Even if he's acquitted of this thing that's coming up, he's still doing life. He's still doing life, and it doesn't matter if he's acquitted. If they put him out of jail today or tomorrow, he will never be able to play for another professional football team ever. So that's pretty much a wrap. So I really didn't think a lot of it at the time. So he got acquitted. I said, "Oh, cool, got acquitted and stuff like that or whatever." But then come to find out here yesterday, I believe, the young man hung himself, and it was kind of sad because as a person who watched a lot of football, you saw the genius of Bill Belichick, how he ended up getting Hernandez and having Gronk on the same team. And Gronk, your big tight end and everything, and Hernandez is a big tight end, but he was way more athletic to me than that of Gronk. They used him out of the backfield. Of course, they split him out and played tight end, and he was an alternate to the Pro Bowl. So this guy was starting to make moves, as well as we all know that he got the big contract. Uh, he got the big contract right there at the 2012 season, 5 year contract extension that was going to run through 2018. Around a year from that now. 12.5 signing bonus was the largest ever given to an NFL tight end, and 40 million total was that second largest thing after his teammate Rob Gronkowski. These guys was about to sit to do some serious things. You kind of think about if he was still playing, what would go on. But what I really want to get to is not even about his playing because everybody knew this guy basically had it all. But my man wanted to be a gangster, for lack of a better word. Cat from out of Connecticut or whatever, Gatorade Player of the Year, the high school play, he goes to University of Florida. He balls out. Everything. The only reason why he didn't go in the first round because of off the field issue, but a lot of that stuff was going around during that time. But this is another thing that I also want to talk about, and I may talk about it in other cast in another broadcast some other time about the coddling of these athletes starting from high school getting worse in college, and it depends on how good you are actually, or what type of a player you are, and how the school, law officials, security, all them people will literally look the other way. This kid had many things going on with him, right? And because he was good, they were winning. At University of Florida, they had a lot of arrests during the time of the 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 time when they were winning the Southeast Conference and going to national championships, but the focus was on Tim Tebow. So them guys could do whatever they wanted to do in the background. Very talented group of players. Spikes. You had, of course, Hernandez. You had Tebow at the time, and a lot. I think Pouncey and a lot of them other players and stuff like that that came out of there. That them guys was ballers, and a lot of them were first round picks. Percy Harvin, a lot of them guys like that. But Tebow took a lot of that stuff off there, and there was a lot of arrests and a lot of guys getting in trouble. But at the end, a lot of these players, and it's sad, they come from different backgrounds. We got that. But my man, he was up out of that. He balled good enough to get a scholarship to go to the University of Florida, and it was still some type of trouble going on still. And it's just something that he just obviously he couldn't let go. And it's kind of sad. But at the same time, there were warning signs to this type of stuff. See, you cannot let these players, these guys, these young men, because the guy's only 27 now. So you're talking about 5, 6, 7 years ago, you're talking about somebody that's 20, 21 years old, and it's like, where's the guidance at? And again, a lot of times in the NFL, all of these, pro sports, these young men are basically pieces of meat. And they're there for a purpose of helping the team win to make the owner a bunch of money. And we can try to talk about the loveliness of the game and the all that and amongst the players that may be that well, but I'm like with owners, probably very few owners that really care. These guys are a piece of meat at the end of the day, and nobody cares. If this guy can help me win, I'll look the other way. And but that goes on though. That happens in starts in high school. If you're really touted, blue chip type player, you look the other way because your grades are not that good. You look, we'll look the other way. Get in a little trouble, look the other way. And then all of these incidents start happening and coming into the draft. And then all of a sudden, the guys get to the draft, and all of a sudden, you have the investigators come up. Did he do this? Did he smoke weed? Did he smoke cocaine? Did he beat his girl? Did he do this? Did he? All these different things come up. But a lot of these guys still end up going to play because teams need them players because of the talent. And I guess a lot of them is like, well, some of the talent, I guess it outweighs the bad things or what have you, and they deal with that. But the warning signs for for Hernandez was just, it was there. My man really wanted to basically be a gangster, a thug, or whatever you want to call it. The guy lived two different lives, but it was warning signs all across the board. But because of his talent, nobody really said anything about it. They kind of just like let him just do whatever it is that he did. As long as he was catching touchdown passes and all this kind of stuff, it was all good. But Hernandez, I mean, I think something snapped with the young man. And I don't think he ever, I think something about his father, him and father real close. I think his father passed me 16 or 17 back in '06, I believe, something like that. And I don't think the young man ever got over that, never got away from the whole street thing and all this other kind of stuff. So it's a tragic thing. And for the time that he would be up in court, I never really saw much emotion to the guy or anything like that. But the last couple of times I did see him in court, first time I think they showed his 4 or 5 year old daughter, and he blew kisses to her and stuff like that. And you saw a piece of emotion in him because he was really just looking like a cold blooded type dude. And then the emotion of seeing his daughter, which you're not going to really even get a chance to see your daughter even grow up. She ain't but 4 or 5 years old now. You're 27 and in jail for the rest of your life. That's a hard pill to swallow. And then he gets acquitted for some double murder. Aside from the one that he with the guy back in 2000 and with the 2013 with the guy named Odin Lloyd, and the two guys were dating sisters or whatever it was, and whatever went on with that, something crazy about disrespect, something about marijuana, whatever the case was. Either way, it was completely ridiculous and ridiculous that it even happened. Something extremely trivial. You know what I'm saying? Something extremely trivial. I mean, it is what it is, unfortunately though, and you know, sad situation all around. But at the same time, it's just like so he gets acquitted of some double murder they had him linked to, and you saw him crying the first time he actually showed any kind of emotion. And I was talking to my wife there the other night about it and stuff like that, and it was just about, hey, it's like maybe why he killed himself is like when you said people say we wouldn't do that, but yeah, but if you get he starts to see like, man, all of this stuff happened and now I got acquitted, but I still got to do 25 years, and then my daughter and stuff like that. That might have been too much for him to bear. Who knows? I don't know what went on. I'm not going to play the conspiracy theory because, like I said, this is everything football. And I really wasn't going to even do anything about it because I was just like, to an extent, a part of me was like, well, good riddance because of the way of the cold blooded murder stuff that went down. It was actually really sad. Like, killing this dude for what? Because he quote unquote disrespected you. I was like, that makes absolutely no sense at all to me. I don't disrespect you in what way? The guy played semi pro ball, you playing pro ball, and he worked as some landscaper or something like that or whatever. I'm like, y'all dating sisters or something to that effect. What could possibly have went that wrong? So you got to sit there and shoot this guy. It makes no sense to me. You know what I'm saying? But these guys want to live a certain kind of way, but they got to realize you can talk about, it's, your life's gone, all gone. And it's really sad. Now, like I said, I never even thought about doing anything on them, but just how everything ended up playing out. That's the only reason I'm doing something on them for, and just how the tragic circumstances around the whole thing altogether. It's really sad, and it actually makes no sense whatsoever. These young men come out playing football in high school, going into college, and going into pros because you got the draft getting ready to come up. And a lot of those guys, out of the 20, of the 32 that's going to be picked, or out of the whole draft class from one to the relevant pick 199 or whatever it's supposed to be, out of, out of all of that, it's not going to be, it's going to be some guys that's going to get into a lot of trouble. It's going to be some guys that's going to stay in trouble. It's going to be some guys that you thought was trouble and they resurrect and do all this other stuff and they do good and everything like that. It's going to be it's going to be alcohol, it's going to be drugs, it's going to be women, it's going to be a bunch of stuff happen. And that's one of the things about with life. It's like those are the things that you're going to see that's going to happen with these players that's coming in. You already got players having baggage. And it's sad that you already got players having baggage at 19 and 20 years old before they even come into the league. You got a guy already got stuff about hitting a girlfriend in a bar. Now they going back to high school and he's supposed to hit his girlfriend back during that time when he's 16, 17 years old. So this is so it's like it's sad already. You got kids that already have baggage. And how do you already have baggage and you haven't really even done anything yet whatsoever? You haven't even lived life yet, but you already got baggage before you're 20 years old. And and that's sad. And that's why it shouldn't even really be any red flags on a kid insofar as big time law stuff and for law and abuse and all this all this other kind of stuff. But unfortunately there is. And it's been going on like this for quite some time. But also some of these players that's being spoiled or able to get away with a lot of things, and these coaches look the other way instead of saying, "Nah, we could nipping this at the bud. You're not going to come through here and lay waste to our program and get our program, put a black eye on our program because you're running around wild, wanting to be a gangster, wanting to be a thug, wanting to be all these other different type of things, and completely miss the point of it." You know what I'm saying? And they don't take this opportunity of that opportunity that they have to become a pro ball player, and they still want to go back to different places, and that's when the problems come up. You better stay in your tax. You better learn to stay in your tax bracket. If you got 12, 15, $20 million in the bank, you better be uh, rubbing elbows with jokers that got 12, 15, $20 million in the bank, because you're not going to get in anything but trouble if you're trying to sit up there and go to some club around the corner somewhere in the inner cities or wherever it may be, or some shack, and then you pull up in your Bentley and all this kind of stuff. You're already looking for people to come and get at you. You already have a target on your back. But some guys like that, and some guys want to show I'm still tough, I'm still street. Even though I got 40 now, it's even better because now I got 25, $30 million. I'm a true gangster. I play ball and all this kind of stuff. And these are the types of things that I think would happen with got trapped with guys like Aaron Hernandez. And there's a lot of other ones that end up getting into trouble. You can't go out there wilding out like that no more. And that's what these young men have not been schooled on. These things is not taught to these guys coming up in high school, going through college, and then getting in the pros. You're not taught how to open up checking account, bank account, invest money, and do all these other things. These kids don't know, half of these guys don't know anything about that. And their parents teach them nothing about that. But this is what happens. And these guys don't have a clue what's going on. And you give somebody that comes from the street or comes out and don't know anything, next thing you know, you give them 15, $20 million and they're 20, 21 years old. And then look at what ends up happening. Not all of them, but this does happen. And it's a sad state that this actually does happen. So it's like I said, but at the end of the day, the death, the carnage that the young man caused, and then I come and actually, they say hung himself and everything, barricaded himself and hung himself and had love for scripture on his forehead and all this kind of stuff. And the young man took his life, and it's kind of tragic and it's kind of sad at the same time. Somebody that was getting ready to go to another level and started to be one of the top tight ends in the league. Now he's gone. and it's a whole other carnage of other people that he may have hurt, that he actually killed, that gone as well, and that's sad all the way around. It's one thing if you live that life for real. It's another thing when you're not even a part of that life, but you go back in it for what? Them guys are trying to come out of that, not to go back up in it. And it's a sad state of affairs and whatnot. So, this is definitely it was tragic, sad, and you feel for the child. And that's what I feel for the most, the child, because she'll never get to know her pops. Unfortunately, she's gonna hear all the bad things about him, unfortunately. But he didn't even get a chance as a father. He didn't even get a chance to see her grow. She didn't get a chance to see him and do nothing. So it's really sad. So but like I said, I may do a piece on about players and stuff coming out. Uh, that these young men they need to take in account the stuff that's doing. But these coaches, these teachers, they need to be held accountable because if they see red flags, they need to say something about it. These boosters and all of these jokers running around here boosting these guys up to do this, and because he can catch a touchdown, he can throw a touchdown, he can tackle, he can do all these things. We'll let that slide if he touches this girl. If they do that, and you see what's happening in Baylor, they got a complete mess over that. A couple of years ago, they had one of the top, possibly it's going to be one of the top 20 picks coming out as defensive end guys. I can't remember the young man's name, but because of the sexual assault stuff like that went on with him, it just has rolled, it just has snowballed, and now Baylor is a walking place where it's nothing but hell. This stuff is just this is what happens all the time around there, and whatnot. So it's kind of glad that these things are happening to start shining the light on these things, and some of these players can't get away because that's somebody's daughter or whatever the case may be. These guys got to know they can't get away with it. You can still walk a straight line. Get yourself together. Have fun as a college student, as a college student, football player, basketball player, whatever that you are, and still get into the league. But you don't have to sit up there and have this reckless type behavior because everybody's watching. You got social media and the whole nine. So but something has got to be done, and it needs to start with a lot of these coaches, assistant coaches, teachers, trainers, faculty, all of them, and prevent people like this. Maybe you could stop them, and maybe football is not the thing they're supposed to do. They may supposed to have to do some time behind balls to get themselves together to become better citizens, because football is something that's not going to last forever. And it's like I said, I just hate to see it. It's sad. Another wasted life for what? You know, over stepped on my shoes, or you mess with my weed, or you disrespected me. It's just sad. Um, Check me out at Everything Football, my YouTube channel, Everything Football 62. Check me out. Leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. Also, you can check me out at Everything Football 62 on Twitter, Unctutman 62. Follow me. And like I said, leave some comments at YouTube. And you have a nice day. We'll talk with you later. Thanks.